Facebook is the last key to unlocking your success with e-commerce. So today, I'm walking you through my core Facebook ad strategy for efficiently testing and scaling products. It's called the spiderweb method, and there's a lot to cover, so let's get started. Now, before you can start running advertisements on Facebook, you need to make a few creatives first. Creatives are the actual photo, video, or slideshow that you will display on a Facebook advertisement. The quality of your creative will impact performance just as much as the actual ad strategy itself. So let's start by reviewing some of my favorite creative styles that you can use right away. The first creative style that I like to use is a still image, simple photo creative like this. 3 products in a row, popping out of the foreground with a professional stock photo in the back. This particular style has worked well for me across many niches, and I highly recommend you to test this style of creative for yourself. Not only is it effective, it is also cheap and easy to make. Just find 3 related products from your store and place them in front of a stock image that you get from a site like adobestock.com. The stock images don't even necessarily have to feature any products in it or even be related to your products at all. You can just use lifestyle images or even landscape that you think would match your niche audience. For example, if you're selling baby products, a stock photo of a mom holding her baby would be a great choice for a background. Now, the exact instructions for making this creative style and the other 2 styles I'm about to mention are in a previous video. So if you want to know what resolution to use, how to make shadows, how to develop some basic Photoshop skills, or anything else about the design, just look for this video on my channel. Be proactive. It's not an Easter hunt. You'll find it easily. Anyways, the second creative style that consistently works well for me is video slideshows. These are video advertisements that you can put together easily within Facebook Ads Manager using just photos. It's pretty much the same process as the first creative style, except this time you want to make multiple copies with the same image background while switching out the product that's being displayed. And you can even animate other things as you get more advanced, like text. When you string these photos together in a slideshow, it becomes a quick, eye-catchy creative that stops people from scrolling. Now, unlike the first 2 creative styles, which are supposed to be visually engaging, the last creative style is a simple carousel ad that uses basic product photos. If you've ever seen one of these carousel ads on Facebook or Instagram, they're just a collection of products that you can scroll through horizontally. When you're making carousel ads, you can use product photos from your website by manually uploading them one by one to Facebook, or you can choose to link your product catalog to Facebook through a third-party app like Shopify and create carousel ads automatically. You can even turn these carousels through Shopify into dynamic ads that are effective for retargeting. I recommend going with the second option since you want to get an app like Shopify later anyways for the retargeting through dynamic product ads, and also it makes pixel integration extremely easy. For now, it's important to note why these 3 creative styles work so well. The first 2 styles work well because they are visually engaging to the target audience. Think about it. If your hobby was boxing and a boxing related post showed up on your feed, wouldn't you take a second to see what it's all about? Of course you would. And that's why you would test multiple backgrounds to see which one is the most engaging for your target audience. Now, unlike the first 2 styles, the last style, or the carousel, isn't visually engaging, but it's physically engaging. This creative style works well simply because people love scrolling through stuff. We're literally programmed to do this. Personally, when I see a carousel ad, I click the right arrow a few times without even thinking about it. It is a natural human habit to scroll and want to play with something, and Facebook knows this. That's why they have this creative feature in the first place. Facebook has actually upgraded their carousel feature even more throughout the years, and now you can tell engaging stories with photo carousels and even video carousels. Now, with all three of these creative styles, you need to write captions, headlines, and descriptions as well. But I've already covered that information in the video that I mentioned earlier, so just go back in time and watch that if you want more information on how you can make your creatives especially engaging. For now, let's move on to launching ads. Today, I'm showing you my proven strategy for testing, retargeting, and scaling. But before I do, please like the video and subscribe to the channel with notifications on if you want to learn more about how you can make money in e-commerce and how you can build a business unlike everyone else. I plan on releasing a lot more valuable content soon, and if you're serious about taking action, you'll want to be one of the first ones to see my videos, so subscribe if you haven't already. Anyways, let's start with how to launch your first advertisements. If you've never ran Facebook ads before, the first thing you have to do is sign up for a Facebook business account or a business manager. Then you should create an ad account under your new business manager and install the pixel onto your Shopify store. Finally, you should connect your store's Facebook and Instagram page, if you want to use an Instagram page, to your ad account. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, this all takes 15 minutes to set up, and Facebook itself has so much clear, detailed instructions for you to follow, so just go to business.facebook.com and sign up if you don't have a Facebook account yet. Once you're set up with an ad account, go to the Ads Manager and notice that Facebook organizes advertisements into 3 levels: campaigns, ad sets, and ads. You can think of the creatives we made earlier as the actual advertisements or ads at the bottom of the pyramid, which is controlled from top to bottom. Meaning campaigns will control ad sets. They're a collection of ad sets, and ad sets control ads. So ad sets are a collection of advertisements. To be more specific, a campaign determines the objective for the ad sets that it contains, and each ad set determines the audience that you're running your advertisements to. Now, to show you why this is important and how this all comes to play, let's go through a simple example. Say you're selling MMA gear and you've already made the 3 creative styles we mentioned earlier. You specifically want sales on your store, so you set up a campaign with conversions as your objective. Then, inside your new campaign, you make an ad set that targets everybody in the USA that's interested in kickboxing. Inside of the ad set, you make 3 individual ads, 1 for each of your creatives. Now, let's say you want to run the same 3 creatives to people in the USA who are interested in karate as well. What you can do now is just duplicate the original ad set that you already made and make one small adjustment to the duplicate ad set's targeting. Not only does this help you set up quick tests for multiple audiences, it also organizes all of your ads in an intuitive and logical way. Organization is so helpful for you to know which audiences are working, but it's even more important for another reason: Facebook's powerful artificial intelligence algorithm. By organizing your ads into ad sets and campaigns, Facebook's AI is able to optimize on all 3 levels, especially if you organize campaigns by geography or region like I do. Let me explain a little further. The first campaign that I launched for a new store is always targeting the United States. I make sure all the ad sets that I put inside of that campaign are targeting the United States as well. Then later on, when I want to scale and sell to foreign countries, I make new campaigns for the locations that I want to sell in. For example, one campaign for English-speaking countries combined and another campaign for Scandinavian countries combined, and so forth. You get the logic. The reason I organize my campaigns by region is to leverage Facebook's AI, which makes predictions for one ad set by using data from all the ad sets inside the same campaign. It's like a bunch of baby ad sets all learning together. Over time, the AI gets better at finding the right audience for your products, and performance gets better and better and better. Now, by grouping ad sets into campaigns by region, you can ensure that Facebook makes decisions based on the data from similar demographics and optimizes in the right direction. Instead, if you mix ad sets targeting poor countries and cheap quality countries with a lot of cheap traffic, and ad sets targeting rich countries inside of the same campaign, you're ruining the AI's learning, since Facebook will try to optimize for completely different demographics that are thousands of miles away. Now that you know how Facebook's ads are organized and how Facebook's AI learns over time, let's talk about my actual ad strategy. Today, we won't cover any of the basic stuff, like how to click the green create button to make a new campaign. If you want more specific details and numbers, I give away a live walkthrough of one of my Facebook ad managers on a store that did $1.3 million in sales to anyone that stays until the end of a free e-commerce training on my website. The link is in the description if you're interested, and it's really intense and full of value. Anyways, let's start with launching your first ads. Like I said, the first campaign you make should have ad sets only targeting the USA. The campaign itself should have its objective set for conversions and have campaign budget optimization turned off. It's important that you don't use other objectives like page post engagements, because a lot of objectives will feed poor quality traffic to your pixel. Remember, Facebook is learning from the audience you give it. So you want to do everything you can to start learning with a high quality group of users. That's why inside of your first campaign, you should only have ad sets targeting the USA, which is one of the richest locations with a diversity of high quality users for Facebook to learn from. And guess what? This information, you're going to be able to use it for later countries. It's also the biggest market, and the USA alone will let you scale to $10,000 a day and more just by itself. So I recommend it as the only location you target for a new store when you're starting out. Besides targeting the USA, all of the assets inside of your first campaign should have a budget of $5 times the number of ads you plan on running inside of that ad set. Now, this is the minimum budget, all right? You can always spend more, and that has to do with your risk tolerance. For example, if you want to test the 3 creative styles that I outlined at the start of the video, then each of your ad sets should have a budget of $15. 5 times 3 is 15. For each of these $15 ad sets, you want to schedule them to start at 4 a.m. in your time zone, or whatever time zone you set for your ad manager. And it's important that your ad manager and your Shopify is on the same time zone. By scheduling your ads a few hours after midnight, Facebook's AI will rush to spend your money faster so it can learn, and will tend to give your placements higher up on the newsfeed, which is always good for better user attention, engagement, and ultimately conversions. For age restrictions on the ad sets, I would leave it as default and give Facebook full control. The AI is really powerful at finding buyers from all pockets and optimally distributing your budget for the cheapest results. You just have to give it some time to learn and optimize. For gender restrictions, you can use common sense to advertise to either men, women, or both. Obviously, for products like only women's leggings and you're only selling women products, you don't have to be advertising to men. Now for the fun part, which is finding interest to target. When you're first starting out, Facebook doesn't know anything about your audience. So you have to give Facebook a few audiences that you think will work well. This is often referred to as interest targeting, because a lot of times you will target people who are interested in certain activities, organizations, celebrities, brands, you name it. I recommend starting off with a variety of interests that are pretty unrelated to each other, but all related to your niche. So what do I mean by that? Well, for example, if I'm advertising MMA gear, I might target the sport MMA itself, the fighter Conor McGregor, the entertainment network UFC, and also the company Everlast. These are all different categories that are still related to the original niche MMA. If you look these up in an ad set's detailed targeting, which is where you will be able to put in your target audience, you see that these are all referred to as interests, which is again why we call this phase interest testing. You can, however, target stuff outside of just interests. For example, you can target behaviors, education level, relationship status, and so much more. It's your job to think of whatever your audience would be interested in, or to try to hypothesize what your target audience is. Your intuition at this point is just as good as anyone else's, and just do yourself a favor and do some basic research about your niche just through some Google searches. But you want to keep in mind the size of your target audience. You want at least 200,000 people in any ad set with a budget of $15. Small audiences might be good for highly targeted advertising, but they cost a lot more to advertise to, and also limits the amount that you can scale in the future. So pick a few interests with at least 200,000 people and a few with at least 10 million or more. Then name each of your ad sets according to the interests that you're targeting. Each ad set should only be targeting one interest at a time, unless you need to combine several small targeted interests that don't meet that 200,000 size requirement. The number of interests that you want to test will determine your daily budget, since you will have to make new ad sets for each new interest that you want to test. Once you have audiences selected, you're ready to go. I don't change anything else within my ad sets. I give Facebook the maximum amount of room to learn and optimize, which is why I do automatic placements. I also leave conversion window on a 7-day click or 1-day view to give Facebook the best chance for collecting more data. Now, inside of your new campaign, you should have 5 to 10 ad sets with each one targeting a different interest in the United States. All the ad sets should also contain the same creatives. We're gonna isolate that variable. So there you go. That's my basic launch strategy for Facebook ads. But before you can make any decisions on ad sets, you need to wait at least 3 days, and you have to let the ad set spend at least 2 times your target cost per purchase, which is just your average order value multiplied by your margin percentage. And if you don't have that information, you have to take your best guess. You can't make any decisions on an ad set until both of these rules have been met, unless the ad set is doing substantially worse than everything else you see. At this point, you should also set up a retargeting campaign to take advantage of the warm traffic from your original campaign. If you don't know what cold and warm traffic are, basically anybody that's never seen or interacted with your content or your brand at all, that's cold traffic. Someone that's had some interactions, and there's different layers of interactions, those people, it's important to know that dollar for dollar, warm traffic will always be your most efficient source of sales and advertising. So you need to make sure to capture all of that value right away, or it's money left on the table. Now, I have a lot of different retargeting strategies, but here's a simple way that works well. I like to make a new conversion campaign with an ad set that has a budget set to 10% of my cold campaign's total budget. This is a ratio I like to maintain whenever I increase or decrease my daily budgets, and this is the minimum ratio you should be spending on retargeting. If 10% of your cold budget doesn't work for retargeting, then you have an audience quality or even targeting problem. My retargeting budgets can go as high as 20 to 30% of the cold traffic budget. After calculating the budget, I make a custom audience for the past 7 days to include everybody that's viewed content, added to cart, or initiated checkout but didn't purchase. Then I make a few different creatives with discount codes to push people over the edge and exclude everybody that has purchased in the past 180 days to avoid any problems with people being upset about discount codes that they might have missed out on. This is a really simple and effective way of retargeting your warmest traffic. But there are also other ways, like making dynamic product ads that react to user activity with Shopify, that you can look into. I also cover some of the more advanced retargeting strategies as a part of my e-commerce incubation program. Anyways, let's talk about my favorite part of starting any store, which is scaling. Let's say you have a USA campaign with 5 ad sets that each contain the same 3 creatives. After running the campaign for 3 days and spending at least 2 times your target cost per purchase on each ad set, you can start scaling in 2 different ways. First, you gotta kill any ad set that isn't profitable. Then, if you give it a 7-day window, right, you're cutting at a 3-day window and scaling at a 7-day window, then you can duplicate every profitable ad set 2 times and raise the budget of the duplicates to $50. You can also look for similar interests to the ones that are working well. For example, if your best performing interest is a celebrity in your niche, like Conor McGregor is in MMA, then you could probably test other fighters or other celebrities in that niche. Every 3 days, for new ad sets, you gotta repeat that cut process, and every 7 days, looking at a 7-day view on Ad Manager, you repeat the process to start scaling duplicate ads to $100, $200, and finally $500. These are the dollar amounts that I have found to work the best. You don't want budgets to be higher than $500 because super high budgets will blast through your audience inefficiently, and you will run into issues like ad fatigue and audience fatigue, which doesn't really happen at lower budgets. Again, killing anything that isn't working is important. Duplicate and scale the ones that are working and keep testing interests that are similar to the ones that are working well. In case there was any confusion, this is an easy way to sum it up. You want to cut at a 3-day view for all new ad sets. Once ad sets survive past that 3-day view and 2 times target cost per acquisition, you're able to scale and cut at a 7-day view. So remember, 3-day view is only for new ad sets for cuts. At any point, if a duplicate starts performing poorly, but the original ad set remains stable, or the original ad set starts performing poorly, but the duplicate remains stable, you can just kill the bad performing ad sets. You don't have to kill everything. Now, it's very possible that every single one of your original ad sets perform poorly and you have nothing to scale. In this case, you should test a new batch of creatives using the same audience. You can also tweak the website according to the data that you are receiving. If none of your creatives work and your website can't get any better, you might want to consider changing the way that you are marketing your niche. Anyways, once you find the right product and start scaling, wait until 100 purchases recorded on Ad Manager, not Shopify, recorded on Ad Manager to test lookalike audiences. These are custom audiences created from the audience that you've been feeding Facebook. So this is really a moment where you get to see how well you've done. If your interest testing was good and you've been disciplined with my principles, then your lookalike audiences should perform even better and be super consistent. The first ones I like to test are purchase, add to cart, initiate checkout, and view content from 1 to 3% inclusive, from 0 for the USA. That's 3 different groups. So 0 to 1%, 0 to 2%, and 0 to 3% for all of those events. After waiting to meet the same 3 days, 2 times spend requirements, you can start the cutting process just like before. And on a 7-day view, you can duplicate the profitable ad sets with higher budgets and kill anything that isn't working. Once you feel confident in the United States, which means you've recorded around 200 purchases on Ad Manager, remember, not Shopify, Ad Manager, at this point, you can start moving into foreign markets by creating new campaigns. The first one I like to test is a combination of Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom combined as a single region. You can immediately start by testing the interest that worked well for you in the United States, along with the LAAs that you made from your USA seed audience. Since these countries have a similar culture and demographic, the data translates really, really well, and I've seen this happen throughout millions of dollars of spend on Facebook. And a lot of times, performance is even better than the United States because conversion rate stays the same, but advertising costs are much lower in these countries. Now, as you're scaling this region, if your USA campaign continues to perform well, you should start testing advanced lookalike audiences, which run from 1 to 10%, starting from 0, just like before. And this is really gonna expand your audience size and let you scale even higher. You can also start entering some middle quality countries now and be confident that your seed data won't be influenced by any poor data coming in. In fact, at this point, the only reason you're able to enter middle quality countries is because Facebook has learned so much from the United States and then the top tier countries already. If you want to know exactly which countries that I group together and the full order of regions that I test, I have the full list of regions and how I like to test them in my free Facebook group, Generation E. The link is in the description to join, and there's a ton of free value besides just the locations that I target, so make sure you join and join the community. Anyways, at this point, you've scaled pretty high and you're selling to a worldwide audience, but there's one last stage of scaling. You just need to wait until you have around 2,000 purchases recorded for your ad manager. Once you have 2,000 purchases recorded on Ad Manager, you can start testing a scaling method called broad targeting. This is when you get to leverage all of the data from your campaigns by giving Facebook no restrictions besides location. For your first broad targeting test, you will essentially target everyone in the United States and let Facebook zero in on the perfect audience like a laser. Unlike every other ad set that you've made so far, you want to start with at least $250 per day budget on these broad ad sets and 3 duplicates, since there's a lot of optimization and learning that has to take place. If you've done everything right so far and your product and your brand appeals to a lot of people, this should actually be one of your most efficient audiences to target. Hopefully, you end up with at least a few $500 broad targeting ad sets that are working well, because now all you have to do is duplicate the same ad set to scale. There's no more looking for the perfect audience through interest or worry about audience fatigue, because broad targeting is massive. That's the stage you want to be in. Broad targeting for all of your regions, tens of thousands of dollars in sales every single day, and just an hour of work in the morning at 12 a.m. to manage your advertisements. This is why my Facebook ad strategy is so conscious about nurturing the pixel like a baby. The integrity of data and the quality of traffic, especially in the early stages, is so important for the long runs, so your Facebook ad manager can become a passive money printing machine. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. That's the beauty of passive income and succeeding in e-commerce. And if that's something you're serious about, I highly recommend checking out the free training in the description. I even give away a live Facebook Ads Manager walkthrough from a store that did $1.3 million if you watch the entire thing. And I'm sure you can get way more value than just that. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.